Status Report Phase. I flip over the top card of the status report deck and perform, if possible, its actions. Each card has a unique title, plus 3 sections: Mutation, Lab, and Deaths. The Mutation section of the status report card will instruct you to draw 0, 1, 2, or 3 molecules from the pool and place them on the virus area. On this card, it instructs us to draw 1 molecule from the molecule pool and place it on B4. Since hex B4 is already populated, that molecule is removed from the virus and placed face down in the discard pile. Then we draw a new molecule from the cup and place it on hex B4. The lab section of the status report card can affect the player action phase of your turn. The effects only last for a single turn unless noted on the status report card by a clock symbol in the corner. This card reads that Adam had friends at the DPC in Atlanta and is too grief-stricken to work today. You cannot use Dr. Adam Schlinker this round. If you have the Dr. Adam Schlinker intern card, you would not be able to use any of its tokens this turn. The death section of the status report card can modify the player's die roll during the containment phase. More on this later. Now it is time to begin the player action phase. I'm going to start by harvesting a protein from the incubator. I look at the virus and I can see 2 copies of the B molecule, which is a 3-protein molecule. I look at the vaccine area and I see that the B antibody requires 1 of the proteins that is currently in the 0 spot of the incubator. So I harvest that molecule for free and place it on the matching symbol on the B antibody of the virus. For my next player action, I'm going to purchase a lab card. I have decided to buy the Homogenizer Mark III equipment card. It reads, once per turn, if you are placing a protein on an antibody that requires 2 of that exact protein, then it can count for both. You may roll for success before harvesting any proteins. Since this is the first card of the set, I will pay the first unit cost, which is 4 funding. I place the card in front of me and I move the funding marker down by 4. I may use this card immediately as part of my player action phase. Once per turn, I may use 1 set of lab equipment I own, unless I also have the Dr. Robert Forrester card. First, I exhaust the card by turning it sideways. This shows it has been used and cannot be used again this turn. Next, I determine if I was successful in using the set. If I own 1 card of the set, I must roll the die, and I succeed on a roll of 4 or higher. If I own the complete set, then success is automatic. If I am successful, then I apply the effects of the equipment card. If I fail, then I do not. I roll the die and I get a 5, which means I successfully use the card. With its power, I harvest the blue circle protein from the value 2 spot of the incubator and place it on the B antibody so that it overlaps both blue circle symbols. I then mark the funding down by 2 to pay for the harvest. You must always place the proteins on an antibody when harvesting from the incubator. They cannot be stored for later. By placing the blue circle protein so it overlaps the 2 blue circle symbols, I have completed the B antibody on the vaccine. This leads me to perform another player action, targeting and destroying a molecule. You may target and destroy an unlimited number of molecules each player action phase if you meet 2 criteria. You must have completed the corresponding antibody, each space is occupied by the appropriate protein, or there is molecules stacked on it, or a lab equipment or personnel card allows for the exception, and the matching molecule in the virus area must have at least 3 exposed sides on the hex it occupies. This means that of the 6 possible hexes that border the molecule's hex, only 3 of them may be occupied by another molecule. Note that the corner hexes of the C ring always have 3 exposed sides. The B antibody is complete, so the first criterion is met, and the B molecule has 3 free sides on the virus, so I can target it for destruction. Since this is the first time the B molecule has been targeted and destroyed by my vaccine, I take the round molecule piece and place it face up in the center of the matching antibody in the vaccine area. I remove the proteins from the antibody and place them in the protein discard pile. I have successfully created an antiviral that attacks one of the deadly strains of the virus. You only receive funding from targeting and destroying molecules on the same turn you completed the antibody. Using the antibody to target molecules on subsequent turns after its creation does not generate funding. After targeting a molecule with your vaccine, Collect funding equal to the number shown on the hex the molecule was occupying. The A hex is worth 6, the B ring hexes are all worth 4, and the C ring hexes are worth 2. Your total funding may not exceed 20 at any time. Since the B molecule was on the B hex, I move the funding marker up 4. Since there are 2 B molecules on the virus, and the second one has 3 free sides, I can also target it this turn and get funding. I take the molecule off the virus and stack it on top of the B molecule piece on the vaccine. I also get to increase my funding again by 4, since it was targeted on the same turn as the creation of the antibody. I have now exhausted all possible player actions I can do this turn. I cannot buy another lab card, and I cannot harvest more than 2 proteins a turn unless I have the Dr. Eugene Monroe card. So now it is the containment phase. After you've performed all possible player actions, determine if you can contain the virus. 3 factors influence the results: the death section of the current status report card, the current stage of the death toll track, outbreak, epidemic, or pandemic, virus modifier, if there are any molecules on the C ring of the virus. First, the virus modifier. If there are any molecules in the C ring, then you subtract 1 from the die roll. Since the C ring is clear, this will not apply. Next, the death section modifier. Apply any modifiers from the death section of the status report card. Our card says, the DPC in Atlanta is overrun by a mob wanting a cure. Subtract 1 from your roll on the containment check this round. So we must subtract 1 from whatever I roll on the die. Note, rolling a natural 6 is always successful, regardless of the modifiers. Finally, look at the containment check difficulty. Check which stage of the death toll track you are currently on to determine the outcome of the containment check roll. Stage 1, outbreak, roll of 3 or higher. Stage 2, epidemic, roll of 4 or higher. Stage 3, pandemic, roll of 5 or higher. We are still in stage 1, outbreak, so we must succeed on a roll of 3 or higher. Since we must subtract 1 for our status report death section, we only succeed on a roll of 4 or higher. If the containment check roll is successful, then a death toll marker remains in place. If the containment check roll is unsuccessful, then move the death toll marker ahead 1 space. If the death toll marker reaches the final space on the death toll track, then the game ends and the player loses. I roll the die and I get a 4, so I succeed on my containment check and the death toll marker remains in place. During this phase, if you had a continuous effect status report card in play, then you must roll to dismiss it after resolving the containment check above. Roll the die, and on a roll of 4 or higher, remove the card. If you fail, then the card remains in place for the next turn. Now for the last phase of the turn, the cleanup phase. After you have performed all possible actions, reset all the components for the next turn. Reset the incubator. Remove the remaining unharvested proteins from the incubator and place them in the discard pile. Then draw 1 token at a time out of the protein pool and place 1 face up in each of the 4 incubator spots, 0, 1, 2, and 4, starting with 0. If you purchased a lab card this turn, then draw the top card from the lab deck and place it next to the 2 face-up cards. If you did not purchase a lab card this turn, you may choose one of the 3 face-up cards to discard and then replace with the top card from the lab deck. Any cards removed in this way are placed at the bottom of the lab deck for future use. Reset exhausted equipment cards. If any of your lab equipment card sets were exhausted, turn sideways. During the turn, reset it. Since I use the Homogenizer Mark III equipment card, I can reset it. Income. While playing the bacterial difficulty, your lab will gain funding at the following rates. Stage 1. Add 2 to the funding track. This is your basic income for this turn. Stage 2. Add 1 to the funding track. This is your basic income for this turn. Stage 3. No base income this turn. Note, there will be no income when playing the viral difficulty. Since I'm in Stage 1, I will add 2 to my funding. Now we're ready to start our second turn of the game. I flip over the next status report card and the mutation section instructs me to place 3 molecules from the molecule pool and place them on the 3 lowest vacant C hexes. Since all the C hexes are vacant, I will place the molecules on C1, C2, and C3. As I draw the molecules from the cup, I pull out a special event token. This one is red, so it is bad. I look it up at the back of the book and it reads, Budget cuts. The viral outbreak has affected the economy and has caused budget cuts. Subtract 5 from your funding and discard this token. Ignore it if at 0 funding. So I immediately subtract 5 from my funding, then discard the token. I then continue drawing tokens until I have placed 3 on the C ring. Next I look at the lab section and it reads, The new electron microscope allows for highly targeted work. You may destroy a molecule with only 1 exposed side this round. I must keep this benefit in mind as I perform my player actions. For my first player action this turn, I will hire the Dr. Melinda Yee personnel card. I place her card in front of me and I take the 3 plus 2 containment check tokens and place them on her card. I may discard one of these tokens before rolling my containment to add plus 2 to the die roll. I then mark funding down 7 to pay for the new card. Next I'm going to buy 2 proteins and place them on the antibody F. Since F is not complete, I cannot target the F molecule. My player action phase is over, so I will move on to the containment check phase. Since the C ring is occupied, I must subtract 1 from my die roll. The death section of the report status card reads, Russia is silent on their casualties. Perhaps no news is good news. No changes to your roll on the containment check this round. So the death section does not affect our die roll this turn. I decided to discard one of Dr. Melinda Yee's plus 2 containment check tokens in order to add plus 2 to my die roll. Combined with a -1 virus modifier, I get a +1 to my die roll. I roll a 1, which gives me a 2 on my containment check. Since it is stage 1 outbreak, I need a roll of 3 or higher to succeed. I failed, so I moved the death toll marker to the 2nd spot on the death toll track. Then I would clean up in preparation for the next turn. The game can end in one of 4 ways. Death toll in the billions. The final space of the death toll track is reached and the virus still exists. If even 1 molecule is left in the virus area, you lose. The disease runs rampant and destroys all of humanity in hellish pain. Virus with a brain. If all 19 hexes in the virus area are populated with molecules at the end of the player action phase, the game ends. The disease has mutated beyond the ability of scientists to combat it. See previous for repercussions. Out of options. If you reach the end of your turn, cleanup phase, and there are no available proteins to restock the incubator because they're all placed on antibodies in the virus area and have yet to target a molecule, then you lose due to lack of resources. The masses rejoice. You have created an antiviral cocktail that has cleared the virus before the death toll track reached the final space. Yay! You have successfully squashed the disease and saved humanity, paving the way for your Nobel Prize. And that is how you play Infection, humanity's last gasp.